Whenever.
I think I had trouble with the link. Is this really important that I...
So how's everybody doing today? Good? Good? Well, I want to welcome everyone to our first Fall Professional Development session. And today we're actually going to take a road trip with Morgan. So we're going to take a trip to control our Google Drive. He's going to teach us some tips, tricks, different things that you may not know about Google Drive, and hopefully we'll all learn something. Just want to remind everyone that we are live streaming and we are connecting from here to Harnett and Pittsburgh. So please keep your conversations down to a minimum. We do have, on all sites, we do have microphones in the room, so we can pick up conversations and different chitter chatter, so please keep that down. Morgan will ask questions, or please keep those till the end. Or raise your hand if you do have a question if you're at another site. So with that being said, I want to hand it over to Morgan for our first session. Morgan, you're up.
I'm coming. I'm sorry. I was sleeping. Just trying to get ready. Can y'all hear me in the other campuses?
Yes.
Yep. And in Chatham?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, let's get rid of Jimmy. So, because I can't see you asking questions unless I turn my back like this, we're just going to hold the questions to the end. And then I can pay attention to you guys up front and there. And that way we can keep moving and make time, hopefully. Okay, so yeah. So today I just kind of want to talk about, like she kind of said, some tips, some tricks, that kind of thing. We're not going to kind of go basic level, but you'll see some basic pieces as we build on them. So hopefully you learned something, but if you don't know much, hopefully you won't be completely lost either. So, as Dacia said, my name's Morgan. I work for the marketing department. They're all blushing now that their faces are up here. You may have also recognized me. I've been in a few movies. And this spring, I'm on TV. So, just keep your eye out. It'll be great. So, Google Drive connected to your Google application, right? So when you sign into Gmail, you automatically got it. If you've heard of Google Docs, Google Drive's the same thing. Google Docs was the predecessor to Google Drive. What they did was Google Docs started and it was just documents. It was just documents, spreadsheets, presentations, that type of stuff. That's all it was. And then they decided they could make it better. So they turned it into Drive. So it's a lot like Dropbox, if you guys are familiar with that. It kind of becomes a local storage as well as that online document. So you can also put photos on it, stuff like that. So first off, let's talk about that connection between the two. So you can log on at any computer, you can go online on your iPad, your iPhone, all those kind of things, and get the same documents you're getting everywhere. You can also install a local version of Google Drive if you'd like to. It's optional. The advantage that it has is it pulls everything local to your machine so that you have immediate access to it right there on your computer. So to do that, once you log into Google, you click on Google Drive, which will be at the top. You can come right over here and click on Download. Assuming they can see that in the other campuses. It'll say Download for Mac, it'll say Download for PC. You click that, it's going to give you an icon, or it's going to download the program to your machine. You can double click it, you can install it. Once it's installed, it will show up like this. If you're on a PC, you'll see an icon on your desktop. You will also see, if you double click My Computer, it'll show up here in the side. Likewise, if you're on a Mac, it shows up like this. It shows up in the same side piece right here, and it also shows up under your username. So what's cool about this is, let me show you this so that it may be a little bit more clear. So when I click on Google Drive, it pulls up everything. So not just my Google Docs, like see this is a spreadsheet, I recognize because of the icon. This is the spreadsheet I was talking about, but I also have other things in my Google Drive like photographs, PDF document, there's a photograph, there's PDF, that have nothing to do with Google, I put them in there so that I can have access to them anywhere that I am. And what happens is, with Google installed locally, it automatically does that sync whenever it has internet connection. So between on my desktop at my office, I have a PC sitting there, I have a Mac sitting there that's completely unconnected, I have this desktop Mac sometimes, or this laptop Mac sometimes, and I have an iPad. And as soon as I add a document, or I make a change to a document, it goes, okay, let me upload that, sends it to Google servers. Google servers goes, okay, you need to update that, you need to update that, you need to update that. So the cool thing is within a couple of minutes, couple of seconds, depending on how fast my network connection is, I can drag a photo into my Google Drive on one machine and it'll pop up on all the other ones within, say, 5 minutes is a good rule. Usually it happens quicker than that. I can have it happen as little as 10 seconds. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes. Like I said, a lot depends on the connection. So let's go back and look at this one more time. So after it installs, you've got those options that I was telling you about before. These guys where it shows up here and here. You also end up with icons that show up. On the Windows machine, it's the bottom right-hand corner. And on the Mac, it's the top right-hand corner. Just to have fun, right? But you click on the icon and it gives you everything that you need and that you can do with that. Other than the folder view, which is where you can drag the stuff in, right? But with this one, it's really great because it shows your quota right here. So I've got 14 of my 30 gigs filled up already. Again, shows it right here. You can also pause. So if you're out of internet connection for some reason or you're having a little funk, you want to speed up your connection, you could pause this so it doesn't automatically sync. You can obviously get more storage, although IT will yell at you if you do that with your school account, so don't do that. You can also do preferences. So this is another cool thing you can do. And I have mine set to sync all of my folders that are in there, so all those photos, all those type things, but you could choose to only sync certain folders in there to this machine. Go to another machine where it's installed and have different folders sunk to that machine. So there's a couple cool tools that you can do there. Let me also mention too that one thing to keep in mind is because it installs local on your machine, right? And you see it local, and you can interact with it local. So I can, as I was saying before, I can take these documents that are on my desktop, and I can just click it, and I can drag it into here, and it's automatically doing that sync I was talking about, right? Here's the important thing to remember. It's no longer on my desktop. It's no longer on my computer in the original place it was. It moves the file. It does not copy the file. So even though it's online, it treats it locally here. So if I delete it here, it deletes it everywhere, right? So what you can do is, if you want it here, but you don't want it there, you want it here and there, you could, and I can't do it up there that I know of, but you could right click and you could say copy, and you could paste it over here, and then you would have it in both places if you're afraid you're going to delete it. But just remember, if you put it in Google Drive, it's treating it, since you've downloaded the application, it's treating it like a local file. So it'll delete it everywhere. Cool. So let's talk about another cool feature that you can get by installing that application that most people don't know. Once you install that application, if you have Chrome, you can actually work locally on the Google files. You don't have to work online. So to do that, right, working offline, you'll go back to the same menu bar on the right-hand side. You'll click the More option, it'll show up, and once you click that, you'll see Offline listed there. When you click that Offline button, you'll see what's showing right here on the screen. By installing that first app, this should show up with a check mark. If it's not, you'll see a link just like this one. You'll click it, you'll download it, you'll install it. You'll be good to go. Like I said, you also have to have Chrome installed. So I actually took these pictures inside of Chrome. Once you click that part and download it, or like I said, it should already be there, you come up with this other option that says enable offline. You're gonna have to enable each device you want to enable. So just because you enable your laptop doesn't mean your desktop's gonna do offline. Once you click that option, it's gonna start syncing. And I'm not gonna do it because it takes a while. It takes a few minutes depending on how much you have in there. But what'll happen is it'll pull all these documents. So now when you don't have internet connection, you can still edit those Google Docs. You can edit those spreadsheets, those documents, those PowerPoint, or those presentations. You can do all that without having internet, which is a cool feature. And one of the biggest complaints that I hear about Google is you can't edit offline. So Google's easy. Right, once you got your drive, you can click on create, and you can create all those great guys, which I'm not going to step through. Like I said, that's kind of that basic level. But one of the cool things too, that was another big complaint that I've always heard about Word, is revision history. So if you go to any, let me double check before I say this incorrectly, right? If you go to any of them, spreadsheet, a document, or anything like that, you have an option under File, See Revision History. What happens is it opens this other pane, and it'll let you see when you've made changes to this document. So you can see I made most of my changes to this document this morning. What'll happen is it'll keep that, and you can click back through them and get rid of things. See, like that, got rid of that picture. It shows you the different states of the document as you edit them. And what it'll take a few of those changes and group them together. So each one of these items listed is not a completely new, like it's not a comma you added. It may be a series of commas or a series of changes you made in that one group. One thing to note too is as you make more and the document sits out there, there's only a certain limit to how many changes you can make and it'll save it. What'll happen is it'll start purging. It'll just start grouping things together. So it'll start taking more of those edits and grouping them into one version. And then eventually that version, the last version, will go away so that you've got more room for new revisions and things like that. So it's really cool to see, and it's a bad example as far as, because all the changes are by me, but the great thing would be is if multiple people are working on the same document, I can kick back and see what changes they made specifically by clicking on this. And you can also restore. Once you've clicked on one of these guys, it pops up and it says restore this version. And all you gotta do is click that and you're all the way back to whatever that was, which is a nice feature as well. And if you just wanted to see what your group member supposedly did, you can view it like this, and then once you click out of it, it doesn't redo any of those changes. It gets you back to the final version that you started with. Questions about that, anybody? Perfect. Okay, let's do something a little more fun. Let's look at conditional formatting in a spreadsheet. So for conditional formatting, for this document, what I did was, and this is actually a real live document. Michelle, I built it for Michelle back there.
It looks familiar.
We had curriculum guides on the server, and we also had curriculum guides that were new curriculum. So I wanted to make sure everything was there and everything had the same name. So I built these two columns, on the server right and new. And I wanted to really quickly be able to see what was what. So I created a little function for this field that says, I'm not sure if you're going to see it there, but it says equals if, and then in the parentheses, you add the first column, the second column, or you add your if statement. So it says if this column equals this column, and that's all it says. If A equals B, comma, do this, comma, if not, do this. So if A equals B, put a 1. If it does not, put a 0, where you get this, right? Simple. And there's tons of those functions. They're just like Excel functions. And you can Google spreadsheet functions, and you'll get a complete list of them. A lot of them are very similar to what you get in Excel, which, again, makes it really powerful. So, Once you've done that and you've got that, true, false, you can click on this cell, go to Format. Here's conditional formatting. Piece of cake. Click conditional formatting. It pops up and it lets you add rules. If I clicked it correctly, it lets you add the rules, right? So what I can say is if text contains 1, which it was, you could have said true. I did them in Boolean, so they're 1 and 0. If it contains a 1, make the background green. If it contains 0, make the background red. We can add another rule. If the text contains, or if the text does not contain, text is exactly, yes ma'am?
Question on that. So I had a spreadsheet identical to this.
Mm-hmm.
It was for hiring documents. And what we were trying to do is put a check mark. So if we have someone's I-9 document complete, we put a check mark in that column that says Morgan Steele has their I-9 document complete.
Okay.
I can do that in Excel, the check mark function. I could not find that under conditional formatting in Google Docs. Does it exist? I could do the background change, but I could not do the check or the X.
Right now, all you can do is the background, the text color.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that's all you can do. But like I said, the background color is what I use a lot to indicate. And what I like about the background color rather than a check is it's a nice big area. You can see it really well as a big green box or green.
But you can say yes or no instead of a check.
Right.
Yeah, that's an idea. I wonder if you could, what you might be able to
Say
do.
1 and 0, the word yes.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying before, where you could do true or false, right? This is what he's talking about, is here at the top, I'm changing it, so rather I had 1 and 0, I'm changing it to yes and no. Right?
Maybe.
I think it's my, all right, I know it works. There it is.
Oh, thank
Sorry.
you.
When I do them real quick, I do singles. It needs the double quotes. That's what it
Gotcha.
needs. It needs double quotes in order to make it work. So that's where you get your yes or no. What you might be able to try to do, you might be able to look up like an HTML character for a check mark and put that in that space rather than a yes, and
Okay.
it might convert that into a check mark.
Thank you.
But at least that'll give you a yes or no.
I like it.
So all I can do is change the background color and the foreground color, right? But it's still cool because it was easy to look down this list then and go, we're good here, we're good there, we're good there. One other cool feature I use in a lot of my documents is I freeze this row so that it doesn't move. It's there even when I scroll down. It stays and it remains right there. And that's really easy as far as clicking the whole row and then going up here to freeze rows under view. And you can choose to freeze row 1, row 2, row 3, whatever you want to freeze so that they never move on you. Are there any other questions about that? Let me show you another function that I like. Another function that I like a lot is the is equals function. So, for a Twitter campaign we were working on, we wanted to prep a whole bunch of Twitter responses that we were going to send out. Twitter only allows you to have a set number of characters. So what I wanted to do was be able to create all these so that we could pre-program them into Twitter to send them out. So I put a date and a time when we wanted to send them. We also did the message. But here's the part I want to talk to you about is the link. It's a really quick, easy function. All it is equals, len, parentheses, you put the column or the cell name, which is C2 in this case, right? C and 2. and close your parentheses, and it automatically calculates it as soon as you edit that text. So if I start typing a new one, it takes it a second, and then there it updates it. So it's another feature I love if you're trying to do a lot of things in a row and you want to count them all up. All right. Let's look at calendar attachments. So one of the cool things about calendar, okay, it's close to Google Drive. It fits in there, I think. Let's open up a calendar. Let's get rid of all this. All right, so on this calendar, what's cool about the calendar that a lot of people don't know is, so when we click and we're gonna create a new event, you're gonna add the event. You can also do a busy search if you don't know about that. So as soon as you add folks as a guest, you can do a busy search and find out if they're available or not. But the part that a lot of people don't know about is right down here. Right down here is add attachment. So what's cool about add attachment is, so you could add that, you could add your syllabus for that specific meeting. I could have added a presentation document if I sent out a message to all you folks to come here. Could have added a meeting agenda to this. And what's cool is, so what happens is when it sends the email to tell you you're invited to the meeting, the document's right there in the email. It's all in one place, rather than having to invite them to the meeting and then send a follow-up email with that document out. So one thing to note about this document is it's going to allow you to pick from your drive, or it's going to allow you to pick from your computer, and you can also drag your files there if you got them. So the biggest thing to remember about doing this is when you put them there, it does not give permissions. You've not set sharing permissions yet. So what you'll have to do is, so let's open my Google Docs. Let's pull an image. I'm going to upload a fun image that'll go with this presentation. So let's add this great one, right? So I'm just going to drag it over there. For those that couldn't see, I just used my mouse. I drug it over there. It's a little easier than here. So it's there. I hit upload. It's putting it on the Google Drive. Now, on Google Drive, when I go back to it, you'll be able to see it stuck it in here. Yeah, there it is. That's the file right here. This right here is the file that I just stuck up there. But let's check it. So I click on it. It's such a great photo. I don't know how you don't like it. You click on it. I'm still not sharing it with anybody. So what I'll have to do is either I'll have to do it one of two ways. If I attach it that way, I'll have to go to my Google Drive and I'll have to put all those folks that I'm about to email or invite to that meeting in this list. The other option is you can go the other way around. You can add it into Google Drive, give them permission, go to your thing and just link to it from Google Drive. Works either way. But you gotta remember this step. You gotta give permission. Otherwise, everybody will be emailing you going, I can't open this document. I can't open this document. Are there questions about that?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
If you add an attachment from a non-Google Drive, say it's just off your desktop or something, would you still have to give permissions? Is it because it's putting it onto your drive?
Yeah, so what happens is when you send an email, it adds the attachment to the server, and when it sends that email, it sends that attachment from one server to whoever receives it, it puts it on their server. So that document's available to them. However, when you add a calendar inside of Google, when you add an event inside of Google, because it's putting it inside of Google, Google doesn't know where to put it. It's not an email, it doesn't belong to email. So what they do is they stick it in your drive. So when they stick it in your drive, that's when the issue comes in that you have to have permission. So it automatically by default subs it in there. So the other nice advantage is if you go ahead and put it in Google, you can organize it however you want. You can still go back and move it and organize it later, but if you put it, you can always do it, because if you're like me, you're gonna click that button, you're gonna say attach. You might even remember to give those permissions, but you're gonna forget after that. to go back and go, okay, it needs to go in this folder. You know? So that's just to stay organized. You want it in the folder. That answer your question? Good? Awesome. Okay, let's look at another cool feature. This feature, actually, I use by myself. Because I don't get a lot of people that want to share Google Docs with me for some reason. I don't know why. So this feature works in spreadsheet. This feature works in documents. This feature works in presentation as well. So it's comments. You can add comments for yourself. You can add comments for other folks. So we have this great document. Obviously, I like this man. So what you can do is you can not get the whole word highlighted. So you could highlight the whole word if you want, or just put it in one place. It doesn't matter. I was double clicking because on my computer it'll highlight the whole word. You can go up here to comments and add a comment here, or it gives you the same icon right here. You can click that. What happens is it's going to immediately pop up over here and let you add in a comment. And on not a projector, it'll probably fill your screen just fine since my resolution is so small. So I can say we need to make sure and check the spelling on this name. And I'm going to post that comment. So now let's put it here so I can visually see that it's over here on the side. I can also go up here and I can pull down my whole list. Let's just add another one. Tom Selleck. Let's highlight Tom Selleck, right? Because we want to go in here and we want to make sure that with this, we want to go back and we get a picture of him. All right? I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say comment. So they're showing up here, and when I look here, they're showing up here as well. If the comment's added by somebody else, you've given permission to view your document. Obviously, their mug shows up, their name shows up. Nice way you can kind of have a conversation back and forth. So you have a couple options. Obviously, if you go in here, you can just click here, and it will zoom your document right to where it is. It'll let you respond to that. Right? You can add that reply, so you can carry on a conversation about that. You can say, is that spelled correctly? No, yes, kind of respond back and forth. You can also, at this point, you can reply to it, which is what we just did. You can also resolve the issue. So if I say, yep, his name's spelled fine. Let's click resolve. It puts me a nice little check mark, but it keeps reference that there was a conversation, there was an issue, there was a comment made about that. You could also say, this man is crazy. Let's go here. Let's delete that. The difference, if I delete it, it doesn't check mark it and keep it. It deletes it. So it goes away completely. So I like it because if I'm going through a document and I'm adding a bunch of stuff, I never have all the stuff I need for the whole document. So I end up adding, you can either highlight everything, put in a whole bunch of question marks so that you try to visually see it when you go back through the document. This is another real quick, easy way to visually see it when you go back through the document. So, same way with presentations. You got the same icon. You can add it to the slide. It's trying to add it to the slide right now. You can also add it to specific objects on the screen. So if you want to specifically reference that object. Or, same way if you want to specifically reference a photograph. Same deal. Comments now for the photograph, that type of thing. So I really like them. I think they're really cool that they do it. Let's look at a spreadsheet real quick. Let's go back to this one. I'm going to say done. We're going to add a comment here. So what this is going to do differently is, I have no clue why we wrote that word done in there. So I'm going to look back later. This puts just a little marker in the corner, but again, by clicking comments, I can pull it up and I can see where they all are immediately. Same things, resolve, reply, delete, in all of them. Questions on that? I'm not looking, I'm assuming you're gonna tell me if somebody's waving and jumping the screen. Okay. Let's look at one other thing that I find really annoying with Google Docs. So Google Docs, by default, when you create a new document, it gives all of your margins are 1 inch. which is a pretty hefty margin. Takes up a lot of print space. If you go to File, you go to Page Setup, that'll give you the options to change those. One of the number one things I do is that. And what you can also do is set them as defaults. So if you always want your 1/2-inch borders on the side and your 1-inch borders on the top so you feel like you're in Word, set them here. Change that to a 1/2 inch. Whoop, that's the bottom. Put that back to 1 inch. Let's do that to 1/2 inch. Do that a 1/2 inch. It's going to automatically change them. And when you click OK, you'll even see it make the changes. See how much closer we are here? Just remember, and actually it reflowed my document since this photo was on this side. It totally reflowed the whole document. It's a choice you want to make when you first start the document. Probably a good idea. I've done this to fit more information on a page before. I've done it because an inch, that's a lot of wasted space. A lot of wasted space. That's simple. Any got a question on that? Okay, just checking. We're doing good. Okay. So before we ask questions, let me show you a couple things real quick that'll be deep, but it'll also kind of give you an idea of the power that Google has. So I use Google for websites and stuff like that a lot. So these may not be features that you will use straight on, which is why I'm just going to glance over them real quick. But again, like I said, they show you the power. So functions like this that give you your numbers. So I use another Google product called GOO.GL. It's a URL shortener so that you can take something that's ccc.edu/marketing/really cool pictures/Morgan/Bad Tuesday.jpg, right? You take that whole thing, you copy it, you put it in Google, their URL shortener, and if you Google Google's URL shortener, you'll immediately find it. I have that set up. I put all my URLs in that. So what we do is we make QR codes in the marketing department. So I put my URLs in there. It makes my short URL. I use another Google product you can find by Googling Google QR codes to make my QRs. So once I've got those QRs, I use a specific URL for each QR, right? So let's just look at it this way. Postcard goes out. I want to be able to track how many people visit my website from that QR code. QR codes are those black square response things, right? Okay, I got a couple links here. Yeah. So when you scan that, I want to be able to track how many people scan that. Well, in this document, I wrote a function, which is up here in the script manager. Here's my function, and you can view it if you go to edit. This is a lot like JavaScript. It's called Google code, but it's very much like JavaScript. So if you have a head on JavaScript, you can do some of this fun stuff. So what this does is, this just uses Google's API. It pulls it, it sticks it, but what's really cool about it is, every time I open this document, that's got obviously my date, what the piece is, where it's being sent out, the short URL, I also have in it the short URL. I also have in it the long URL, which is what you see there. This automatically, come on. Sorry, my resolution's not happy. Go to this extra column. That script automatically, every time I open the document, reconfigures, counts up how many people have clicked on that event. So you're tying all those things together and you're doing that cool function. Then you can find a lot of those functions online. But it's another cool thing it does. Another one, quick function over here. Let's go to manager, this guy here. What it's gonna do, again, it's the same crazy scripty code stuff, but what it actually does is, it looks at every one of these columns, boom, 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 all the way over. Boom, 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 boom. It calculates them all up and it creates me a URL. So what that script's actually doing is it's looking at every single field, it's taking the data that's in every single field, and it's putting it in a URL. This is the date the form was submitted, that's column 1. Scroll over a little bit, this is a really long date. It puts an and, puts this and right here, and then it puts my second column, puts an and, puts my third column, puts an and. It's just a quick script, but it kind of shows you kind of the power that Google has. I mean, Google does really great with their APIs. Sometimes it takes a little coding, but a little Googling will actually get you a long way when it comes to this type of stuff. People are doing it everywhere. So you can connect between documents and all sorts of crazy stuff. Okay, questions? We'll try to answer them. Anything about Google, anything about Google Docs, anything about what I covered, anything about the college? I can answer every question about the college. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. If I share a document with somebody else, can I limit what they are allowed to?
To what they're allowed to do?
Yeah.
Yes. So, I don't know if you guys heard that on the other campuses, but what she asked was when she shares a document with somebody, can she limit their abilities? So let's go back to my other doc, my example doc. So we're back to this wonderfulness. Oh, and just like Word, you can always say undo. Right, so put my margins back so I feel better because the picture's not around the text. So when you click share in the top corner and it pulls up your options, you go here and you go to add people. Let's pick on my boss who's in the room. So I added my boss's name, right? And because it's Google, it's going to recognize everybody that's in the system automatically or that you've emailed, pulls them up. Here you can choose what they're allowed to do. They can edit it, they can only comment on it, or they can only view it. There's your option.
Can they only edit part of it?
No,
No, the whole
unfortunately
thing?
no. Google does not allow you to edit only sections. I would recommend just creating another document and only allowing them to edit that other document. And then at the end you create a master document with all of those pieces in it. A little more work, but that gets you what you're looking for.
And all changes that are made are live. So if she had edit access and I had edit access, whatever changes she made, I would see them live and if we both had the same spreadsheet pulled up.
Yep. And that's true between computers and that's true between devices as well. Google just changed their icon. Well, there it is. Google just changed their icon. So I can actually pull up this document on here, which you can all see. All right, lovely. But you can also see, so one of the cool things it does is when it realizes that I'm on the document, there it is. So it shows this computer, which is my laptop, that somebody's actually on here. See my green cursor down here? And in the top corner, it usually it's because it's an iPad. It acts slightly different. If it's another computer, it'll actually pop up here with the colors, and it'll show you like a green for the green.
It's kind of doing that as you click, if you watch screen, it's kind of doing that as you click on the smart board. As you click around.
There you go.
It's telling me my name. Yeah, if it's another computer, it's because of the connection the iPad makes, but if it's another computer, it'll give you that dot up here, and you can see it the whole time. And I wish it was doing that, because then you can also carry on a conversation right inside the window. So you could do your Google Chat right inside the window if it was another document. Oh, you know what I can do? Let's do this. Let's trick it. So that's the other, another cool thing I like is I end up opening multiple windows on multiple computers. Okay, we can't trick it. Well, actually we are tricking it because that's the other window. I highlighted that, it's showing it, but it's not giving my dot up there. And maybe Google decided to change something this afternoon. They like to change things constantly, and you never know what's going to work, what's not going to work. Okay, are there other questions? I have to dance and sing if you guys have questions. It's not a pretty sight. Yeah?
I haven't used it much, but you can set folders up in your Google Drive, everything just like you would on your personal
If you
drive.
do it on the, if you do it online, you're looking at My Drive, right, which is your default with all your folders in there. You just create a new folder right here, and it'll add them in there. So, like for example, like for today, I have a folder called Presentations. You go into Presentations, I have 3 presentations that I've done. And you go into Road Trip, which is today's presentation, and again, you've got all your documents.
So if you
Everything's
set
in
your stuff
folders.
up on your network drive, you have your stuff set up on the network drive, can you move that to your Google Drive?
Yeah, if you download, so on here, if you want to only go through the website, I'm assuming. You can click here, and this button will create new documents. This button will let you upload, and you can upload folders or files, and it'll put it in whatever location you're currently in. You could also do what I was showing you earlier, is when you install that local drive, you can put stuff right in it directly from here because it's in that local version. Remember that local version I was talking about, right? Yeah, you can just drag straight in there.
So what's the point of having the network drive?
What network drive?
The one that,
The community college network drive?
be careful.
Be nice. Space.
Nobody in IT is in this room, are they?
No,
No,
but it's being recorded.
different options. The nice thing is with Google, it lets you share stuff really easy. You can give specific people access without having to call IT and say, IT, Morgan really needs to see the catalogs folder. I need to give him access to it. But the nice thing about the college's network drive is you could see it as more reliable. They back it up here locally. It gets backed up a couple times a week. It gets moved off campus. That data is going to be there. In all honesty, Google could decide tomorrow that they're going to make you pay for this service.
If you do it on one, can it have it so it automatically goes to the other one, vice versa?
One what?
If you do it on the college's network drive, can you have it so it automatically saves it on the Google Drive and vice versa?
So
it'd be on both places?
I have never tried it with the network drive. And it'll be an issue of whether it can talk to it or not. One thing that I have done, and I've not done it on this computer here, but I've done it on my desktop at work or in the office, is I'll make an alias or what do you call it on a PC? You call it a shortcut, thank you, on your Windows machine. And you drag that shortcut to your desktop so that all you have to do is click on that one folder and it actually takes you 13 levels down into your Google Drive. I've done that. Like some of my folders on here, I access on a more frequent basis, like our college logo that I save on my Google Drive. So it's there so you can get to it real quick. Another issue might be a network connection. If they can't get off campus with our internet's down. If you haven't done the offline, then you won't have the file unless you can get to it. That'd be the advantage to having the local shared drive. You could argue too about a comprehension level. Some people might understand Google better, some people might understand shared drive better. Questions, other questions? Nothing else? Yes, ma'am.
If I install the Google Drive on my desktop, can I have more than one? Let's say, I have 2 people who have Google Drive,
Yes,
right?
you can. And I was reading an article on that earlier, so let me get back on that. That's a feature they've been asking for a long time, and it's my understanding is it just became available. But it may only be available on an iPad or an iPhone or an Android device. It may only be available on a mobile device. I don't remember that specifically, but I'll get back with you on that one. Yes, ma'am.
Can we download whole folders, or do we have to do it individually as files? I know me and myself, as far as another coworker, she had some files on her personal drive that she wanted to share with me, in which we used Google Drive, downloaded it, put it on the shared drive to where I could access them. But we couldn't download them a whole folder at a time. We had to go in and actually download each individual file.
So now if you install it locally, right, all you have to do is click on that folder and copy it to your desktop, and the whole folder would come that way. As far as when you're online this direction, you can just click check mark the folder and go right down here to download it, and it'll download that whole folder. That's one thing that does get confusing is you have this more option right here. So in order to affect the entire folder, you have to go to this more, you have to remember to check mark it and go to it. So, for example, if I'm in images, I can't actually share the entire images folder. I have to go up. Okay, go away. Sorry. So inside the images folder, I can't actually share the entire images folder. I'd have to go through and share each one of these items. But if I go back up to the next folder above it, and I check mark it, I get this option where I can share the entire folder. Which is where we were getting that same option where we could at this point download the entire folder, rather than downloading each one of the little pieces inside the folder. You just have to remember to check mark it, which is actually harder than you might think. I forget it all the time. Anybody else got a question? Nothing? Anything from the other campuses? Hi, are we still awake?
Yeah.
Hi, yep, we're still awake. Okay, cool. That's all I got then.
Google Drive.
If you have more questions about Google, oh, are we?
Question?
Did we have a question? No? No, he was waving. He was excited to see me again. I get that a lot. Yeah, so if you guys have questions about Google Drive, you can reach out to me. There's a lot of information online as well. If you've got a question, a lot of times you can Google the specific question. If you're having trouble making it work, I'm available through the college. You can get me through the website or the fancy dancy mobile app. Just pull me right up in there. I'm in the directory. You can click it and call me right away. That wasn't an ad. I don't know what was. Cool. Thanks, Station.
Thank you.
Thank y'all very much.
Good job.
Thank you.